Hey guys, Chairman here, back with another undefeated locals deck profile with Kaguya. So really excited to be showing off another Kaguya list again. So last time on Dragon Ball Z, I featured my winning Kaguya or second place Kaguya list from the Hobby Shop Ichiban tournament, where I got second place on Kaguya release weekend, featuring a deck with the level 1 combo, the new level 1 combo from Kaguya, and the old level 3 combo from Kaguya. Since then, I have broken that deck apart into two separate decks. Basically, I've split the combos, and I put the level 3 Kaguya combo into the old standby shell. I've been testing that deck with the Hayasaka change. It's been going really well. I actually went undefeated with that deck last week, but since I arrived late, I only got 2 games in. I didn't really feel like making a deck profile for a deck that only won 2 games. But that deck is really good, and I think it's probably one of the best, if not the best, Kaguya build out there. But I thought that the level 1 combo also performed pretty well, and I needed to match that with a different top end because the level 3 Kaguya was already in a different deck, and I actually felt like there was a lot of anti-synergy with the previous list. And so I built a deck this time basically for the level 1 combo, for that combo to excel and to shine the most. And this is what I came up with, and it really works very, very well. So very excited to show off. And the reason why it works is because we get to play 4 copies of the Chika Riki. This is, I think, 100% necessary for the new level 1 combo to look good. Having a Riki that can search the level 1 combo. I think if you're going Hayasaka choice, like you would if you played the old level 3 combo, you miss out on having the Riki, you miss out on being able to advantageously add your level 1 combo, and that makes it a lot harder for the combo to look good and to be consistent and to be very advantageous. And 4 copies of Chika Riki really gets you there. Also pumps power onto the combo, so the combo can hit 9-5 with a climax and an event, which is absolutely great. So yeah, I think Chika Riki is why we're making this list, basically. Chika Riki and level 1 combo. We're down to 3 copies of the Kaguya event Kome. Previously on my last video, I said you would not run any less than 4. Well, I stand corrected. It turns out that the torch event mills a lot, so you actually don't need that much mill at level 0. Still, a good amount of mill is, I think, preferable, especially since both of your climaxes are looking for cards in the waiting room. So you do want a little bit of early mill to get some cards and targets into your waiting room, but you don't really need that much. You could consider cutting some of these, actually even more, to run the 2-1 event bonder Ishigami, which is a 4K in the center slot. So I'm thinking of maybe cutting 1 Kaguya for 1 copy of the Ishigami, but I don't know if it's 100% necessary or not. Anyways, yeah, good card. 3 copies of the Chika Brainstorm. This is a direct kind of change from the last video where I was running a split Brainstorm. I just realized that Chika Brainstorm is just the best Brainstorm to have with this package, and you always want to be on Chika Brainstorm anyway, so there's really no point in splitting your Brainstorms anymore. We're on 2 copies of the Kaguya Runner. This was not in my winning list because frankly I forgot, but yeah, you definitely want to play at least 2 copies of the Hayasaka. You want to have 6 Riki effects. I think is a really nice number to see it very consistently every single game. And the Hayasaka also gives you the option to draw cards that you see from the top of your deck. Works really well with the Chika Riki because the Chika Riki reveals the top card of your deck. If it's a card you want, then you can use the Hayasaka to draw into it. If it's not, then well, you don't need to draw. Also a great turn 1 play alongside the Kaguya Kome. So yeah, really good card. We are up to 2 copies of Miko. I've tested Miko at various copies. I think 2 is the best number because Miko is very easy to get. Usually, basically any search or salvage will get it. It's also level 0. So your Nagisa gets it really easily. It also can just get itself. I think a very common play I do is just sack the Miko to salvage herself to get more information of the top cards of my deck, especially if I'm going overhand. It's just free info. So I don't think you really need much more than 2. 2 is like if you miss the 1, then there's still another 1 you can potentially get. I think the most you probably go up to is like 3. I think 4 is overkill. It's so easy for the card to get itself that you don't really ever, I don't ever see myself in a situation where I would want 4. And there's definitely other utility cards that specifically the Miko helps me grab that I would rather run than more copies of the Miko, right? This is like the kind of like the link between my hand and any other card that I want. And so rather than playing more copies of this, I would rather just play cards that I want to go from my hand through the Miko into. Yeah. Now we go into the one-ofs. One copy of the Ishigami drop search. This drop search is really good, and since we're not on Hayasaka, we get to run the Ishigami drop search. I would try to run 2, but I couldn't find room. It drop search on play and on death, which is really strong. Also, just a big beater, 3-5 on attack. One copy of stock swap, pretty self-explanatory. One copy of climax swap. I'm still on Osaragi because I think it's really good. And one copy of the Nagisa. So I'm doing 2 Miko, 1 Nagisa. I think it's a really nice kind of balance of cards. Nagisa also gets additional work in this deck because of the Chica top check, giving you extra information. I think top check is also just a really good kind of effect to have with the Hayasaka draw brainstormer. So yeah, I think 2 Miko, 1 Nagisa gets you from a lot of different deck states and cards in your hand to a lot of different deck states and cards in your hand, which is really nice. Alright, level 1 combo. We are playing 4 copies of the 1-0 Kaguya combo along with 4 copies of the event. Kind of the reason why we're building this deck in the first place, because Chica into this is just really powerful. A lot of mill at level 1, a lot of power, a lot of deck control, power is both offensive and defensive, so really, really good. I made a mistake last video. I said that the first one goes to memory. It doesn't have to go to memory. I thought it was a mandatory effect because all the other events in that package were mandatory, but this one is optional for some reason. So yeah, don't send it to memory. It's so much harder to play with 3 copies of the event. Just don't send the event to memory at all until like the very end of the game, if you even remember to. Even then, I don't know if you would send it to memory. I just never send it to memory anymore. So turns out the combo's a lot better because you don't have to send one to memory. 2 copies of this Hayasaka. This Hayasaka is kind of broken, and yeah, I just didn't play any last time because I didn't think I needed to. In this deck specifically, because we're on choice. Oh, whoops, I spoiled that. But we need more soul triggers in this deck. So this Hayasaka has the same effect as the Hayasaka Runner, where it gains 2 abilities if all your characters are Shuching. And this Hayasaka is both a bottom deck bomb, so bottom deck Adachi, and also gains 6k power to defense at level 2. So when it attacks at level 2, it's 10-5, and then if it dies, it just bombs it. So against any standby deck that's standby out 2/2s, it's pretty great because you front and it's 10-5, and if you're bigger, their 2/2's dead. And if you're smaller, their 2/2's dead. So it just says like hard to remove a 2/2 at level 1. And also just scales really well into the level 2 because then yeah, you get to bottom deck bomb their 3/2s and stuff like that. So just a really good card. Running 2 copies because of soul triggers, and I just want to see more of it. I am testing 1 copy of the Kaguya that also climax combos with the same climax as this 1-0 combo, and it's on reverse, pay 1 to bottom deck a cost 0 card on the field. Anywhere, right? So sometimes it's really good, you just snipe a back row. Sometimes you just snipe a front row that you can't remove, which is also pretty relevant sometimes, I think. And more importantly, it just gives you something to do with stock. If you have like a stock buried in the middle of attack step, then it's like it makes it slightly easier to pay out stock in the early game. And yeah, just kind of a little bit of a targeted hate and removal for certain matchups and certain decks. And it's really easy to get to, again, because we're running Miku's. Oh, sorry, because we're running the Miko, one of tags is really good in this deck because you can always get to them. And so I'm testing it out. I think on Sunday it overperformed. Basically, I was able to snipe so many back rows, and like their decks just kind of like fell apart once I removed an extra card that they were planning on being removed. So I think it's really good. I think if you make the right call in certain matchups, this card can really swing the game in your favor in a tremendous way, and nobody is going to be expecting it, which is the best part. 1 copy of Ishigami PR. This is a bit of a spicy tech, but it also is really good. Basically, I'm playing it as a way to pay out stock early without going minus in stock. So Ishigami has 2 effects. First effect is when you play it and you have 4 or more other characters, you can refund the stock that you spent on it from the waiting room. So it's a clean stock, and this basically, yeah, just makes it effectively 1-0, except it also has 1 cost, which can be relevant. And the second effect is when you play it, it gains 500 power for each of your Shuchin characters. So normally you just want to play it last anyways to get the full 2500 power, and it just so happens that when you do play it last, you also refund the stock. So it's effectively a 1-0 A5 attacker, which is great. And it also helps you pay out stock, because this deck definitely struggles if you trigger climax really early, like first or second attack. It's like really hard to pay it out, and if you pay it out, you're like really behind on stock for the rest of the game, but the Ishigami kind of refunds you that 1 stock. And it's like just a really good attacker to get. So yeah, testing it out, it's been really nice. It's like one of the better yellow cards to splash, I think. 2 copies of refresh counter, mostly just for the soul trigger and just to make it easier to get refresh counter in this deck. You could run a different counter if you want, but you're not really looking to counter at level 1 necessarily, I think, with like a 1/1 counter or anything like that. So I just think more copies of refresh counter makes it more of a threat. So my opponents have to play around it more. 2 copies of early play Hayasaka, 1 copy of the early play Kaguya. So last video, I remember I was playing 1/1. I was kind of spending some time talking about going forward what the ratios would look like. I've settled on 2/1. So I think 2/1 is really good because, or at least in this build, at least with the events, because the Hayasaka is way easier to play and it gives you that access to the healing at level 2. Whereas the Kaguya, you're not really looking to play at level 2, but you're definitely wanting it for level 3 to help you grab the climax for the finishing turn. So I think 2/1 is a pretty good split where you're looking to play more Hayasakas, but ultimately you do still need the 1 of Kaguya for level 3 game. Our level 3 game is the Chica finisher. So if you look at the thumbnail, yes, I am no longer playing Kaguya finisher because that's married to another deck. And I think with the level 1 Kaguya combo, the best finisher that you can pair with it is this Chica alongside 3 copies of the Musashi event. So basically, Chica is on climax placement, discard a shooting character to gain the effects. If it fronts or sides, burn 2. If it directs, burn 3. So that's triple Chica is 6 stock and then 3 discards from hand, and you get basically it's the equivalent of the Marin combo, except she heals and doesn't like dig for extra combo pieces. So every stock you have on top of that, you can transfer it to a Musashi event and get a Musashi burn. So I think with 9 cards in hand, which is like, so like you start a turn with 7, draw to 8, clock, draw to 9. With 9 cards in hand, you can triple Chica, play the climax, which is 4, play 2 Musashi's events, which is 6, and then discard 3, which is 9. So triple Chica, double Musashi event, 8 stock, and you get that full combo, and that's really strong. That's just a really, really strong finishing turn. Basically, they're dead if you ever get there from like high level 2, right? So that's basically what you're building towards in this deck, and it's way easier to build towards that because it's more forgiving on hand than the Kaguya combo, and it's also easier on stock because the Chica doesn't require stock on attack. So the Kaguya combo actually is more stock intensive because your first attack, if you're triple Kaguya, your first Kaguya attack actually you need to pay 1 to do the burn, which is why I'm playing in standby to save some stock, and also the Hayasaka will save a lot of stock. So in this deck, because we don't have the luxury of standbying out to cheat stock cost, it's actually the fact that the Chica is just 6 stock flat makes the combo way more consistent and just way more likely to happen. You just go to level 3 and you can assemble a really strong finishing turn. So yeah, I actually think with this shell of like level 1 Kaguya combo with this event, that the Chica is the best finisher. I think all the other finishers just cost stock, or it's like the event package where you're sacrificing a lot of your utility space to play all your events and send them to memory, and you're also, you know, spending stock earlier to do that. Whereas with the Chica, it's like no questions asked. You just make a full field, which is pretty easy, play a climax, discard characters, and then you get the burn. And it's burn 2, which is not bad, right? It's like, it's not necessarily worse than burn 3, I think, in a lot of situations. So yeah, I don't know, Chica's really good. And we're on 3 Musashi event, down from 4 because this deck already has a lot of yellow. You're looking to level a Chica Riki for yellow. I think in the standby builds and the previous build, I had 4 Musashi event because I basically had no other yellow, so that was like the only color. Whereas in this deck, we have a lot of yellow outside of just the Musashi event, so we can afford to run fewer Musashi event. I do think that if you can run the Ishigami bond to it, it's probably a good idea. Probably cut something somewhere else. And then climax is 4 pants, 4 choice. Pretty straightforward, yeah. So my matchups were pretty interesting. I think I played against like 2 Bang Dream, 1 Dragon Maid. So not like very, I guess, testing or like top tier matchups. but I think this deck more than anything else is just really playing to get its own advantage, compress, maintain deck state really well. I think the combination of the event and brainstorm makes it really easy for you to compress, and if you're in a bad deck situation, just mill out. Yeah, I think like learning that and just getting really good at like knowing how much to mill based on like the probabilities of cards left in deck is like really good. So like I think my favorite situation I was in that like just basically won me the game at level 1 was I was 1-6 and then I had like 2 in deck and it was like 2 and 6, right? And then so I think my opponent swung for like 2, and then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like not do anything because like I have an okayish chance to cancel. I don't really want to mill climaxes out of my deck. And then top deck canceled. So now I'm 1-5, and he swings for 1. And so right here, it's like the best event timing, right? So you event and you mill 3, or 3 to 4, depending on like what you see. And if you see the climax in 3 or 4, then you just mill your entire deck and you can refresh 1-6, right? And then if you mill 3 and you don't see a climax, then that means that bottom 2 are one of them is a climax, so you can take the 50-50 if you want, or you can mill 1 more and then take the guaranteed, right? And so yeah, so I milled 3 and the top deck was climax, so I just milled the whole thing. And I refreshed 1-6 and I just had like really great compression. And you basically just lost the game on that turn from not being able to push me, and my deck state was just amazing afterwards. So yeah, I think this deck is definitely looking to win really early on with just advantage and really good compression. And then all the other stuff is just kind of icing on the cake. So yeah, really fun deck. I think Kaguya has proven to me that, yeah, with the new cards, there's a lot more viable ways to play the deck. Like before, I think you basically could only play standby gate, and every other build was really inferior, like vastly inferior to that build. Whereas now I think there's a lot of different opportunities, like different possibilities, different end games, different level 1 combos that are viable. I've been testing a lot of stuff and it's been really fun. So yeah, go ahead and take this deck for a spin, see what you can do. It's very techable. Like a lot of my tech options, you don't have to run. Like you don't have to run this Ishigami if you don't want to. You know, you can. This could be the bond to the 2-1 event or an extra 2-1 event or something, right? So a lot of flexibility in this deck list. Go and have some fun with it. I think it's really fun. It's really good. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hopefully will have some more Kaguya content coming up, as well as I test some more jank and fun builds. We'll see. All right, that's it for this video. Peace be with you. See you guys next time.